Assalamu alaikum. So in this video, I am going to walk you through the most popular business models. I'm going to talk about the appeal behind them, my personal experience in it. If you don't know already, I've failed in more businesses than I can remember, but I finally did have my breakthrough and I finally had my success. And I want to make sure that you learn from my lessons so you don't waste hundreds of thousands of dollars trying things that I failed at. So then I'm gonna rank every business model step by step as well. Okay, so um, if you don't know already my background as well, obviously my name is Abdul Faruqi. I followed the traditional route. I got a degree, got high grades, got the best corporate job possible, equity research analyst at an investment bank, and then I got laid off. And even when I didn't get laid off, in before that at least, I was getting taxed so high and I had no time. I literally had zero time to be able to spend with my family to grow my family. And, there was a time I was me and my family. Okay. I have, mashallah, we were six siblings. We were all sharing this $3,000 Nissan Maxima, this exact color, this exact make, this exact Nissan Maxima over here. And during that time, like we've tried it all. We tried brick and mortar. I tried the job. I tried the restaurant model. I've tried e-commerce, and it wasn't until I started the right opportunity that I made my first million, and then was able to get freedom from my family. I speak on stages, take my family for Umrah, take my mom for Umrah, take my parents for Umrah, my dad for Umrah. Uh, got my parents brand new cars. We retired them as well, and finally got from just trying like worrying about myself to this is like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Um, and Tony Robbins talks about this all the time as well. um, Human beings, we have these like very when we're not doing well, all we can think about is getting enough food and water. Then after that, we want our safety. Then after that, we want to belong to a family and have a group of friends. Then after that, we have esteem needs, cognitive needs, aesthetic needs. But at the very top is self-actualization, where you help each other actualize their full potential. And over the last few years, alhamdulillah, after doing these things, I've just been able to contribute more. And, we've been able to start this school, for example. This is just one of the examples in Pakistan as well. But now, because we started this very first opportunity the right way, like most new business owners fail. But because, alhamdulillah, I was able to start the right opportunity, I was able to do all of this. Okay. I was able to get beyond self actualization and start helping others as well. And I want the same thing with you. And because I started the right opportunity, I gained a certain level of skill set in the right things. And now, we've been able to like speak on stages and whatnot. And, we've got pictures of celebrities. We even help Foot Crunch go to Saudi Arabia and make a video with Ronaldo. It got 27 million views. And right now, because of what we've built at Triton Growth, our marketing agency, we're in talks with celebrities to launch their brands and partner up with them. But all of that would not have been possible had I not started the right opportunity. So this video is incredibly important for you to watch because I really think when you pick the right opportunity, it can inshallah change everything for you. Okay, so let's go through all of these different business models. The first one, let's talk about the brick and mortar business. This is something we learned about. Start a restaurant, start a like a plumbing business or HVAC, or even like a franchise. Open up a Subway, buy a gas station, or open up a McDonald's. Okay, so my experience with this is I spent a lot of time researching franchises and brick and mortars to buy. I was very close to buying an HVAC business because they had stable cash flows and their product offering wasn't very complex as well. On top of that, we also had a restaurant business, my family and I, called Kebab and Curry in Richmond here in British Columbia. And we operated that about 5 years, my siblings and my parents. And having done that for 5 years, operating in the restaurant business, right? I understand the appeal. I understand it's very physical, it's very real, it's very concrete, and you see it all the time. You have people telling you, especially if your cooking's good or your parents' cooking's good, they tell you, "Hey, go start this business. Go, please go start a restaurant business. We'd love to buy food from you." I'm telling you this. If you have an enemy, tell them, compliment them on their food, and tell them to start a restaurant business. It is one of the worst businesses to start. Okay, and especially if you haven't done it before. Now, just going broader to a franchise business, the best franchisees are incredibly expensive. Okay. So my friend has a McDonald's business. He's been a franchisee for about 8, 9 years. Okay. He's got two McDonald's. He started out with some very low quality franchise businesses. Okay. If you want to get into a really good franchise, they require you to have about 5 years of experience. McDonald's requires you to have 5 years of franchise experience in order to get in. Okay. The second negative of that is you also need to come up with a lot of cash. Okay. In order to buy a really good franchise, you need to have at least $1 million to get in. Okay. It also, the third point, it also requires a full time effort. If you already have a six-figure job, you cannot experiment on this on a part time basis. You have to leave your six-figure job in order to get into this field. Okay. And you can't outsource something like this. So for a beginner, like the whole focus of this video is to find the best business model for beginners to help you get to your first $1 million. Okay. And if you're leaving your job for a brand new business, it's a high risk thing to do. A lot of you are going to have trouble even getting back to your job. But even if you can get to your back to your job, the opportunity cost is you already lose your $100,000. Let's say if you're making $100,000 a year with your job. Okay. The next negative with this brick and mortar. And by the way, this is one of the reasons I didn't get into brick and mortar. Again, I was very close to buying an business, but it required me to be there. And I just wanted to be an investor, obviously not like do the HVAC work myself. I just wanted to buy like, a few $1 million worth of HVAC businesses and let the predictable income start coming in. But I just saw over and over again that no, you need to be full time in there in order to operate it successfully. And I didn't want to leave my like internet businesses in order to do that. So that's why I didn't get into HVAC. Secondly, I'm glad I didn't because my friend, for example, that has a couple of McDonald's, there's a value misalignment for him as well. Like he doesn't agree with, the political positioning of like McDonald's. He also doesn't like, I think as he's getting older, he is getting more aligned with his faith. And now that he's in McDonald's for a while, he's just like, okay, but I'm also selling haram products as well. So, there could be a value misalignment when you get into these franchisees and you have limits. That's another big thing. You can't grow very quickly when things are working. You have to look for like the right territory. So you're always restricted. Your franchisor is not going to allow you to start like to grow and have multiple locations without getting the approval. And they want to make sure they have their territory covered with only the people that they want to grow as well. So there's a lot of like restrictions for a franchisee business. Again, it's not a bad business model at all if you already have franchise experience or if you don't have a job and you have a lot of capital lying around. When I did my research into franchisee businesses, the best ones are the most expensive ones, right? That's why they have that barrier to entry. So if you're not dropping at least $500,000 into getting with the right franchise, you're getting into a subpar franchise and you're really just buying yourself a job. They have the royalties as well. So whenever you make a sale, let's say you make $100,000 worth of sales, some of these like businesses are going to have like a 15%, 20% profit margin. And then you have to give 5 to 10% out of that to as royalties off of your top line. So it doesn't even matter how well your sales are doing or how well your profitability is doing. But if you're not running a tight ship and very lean operations, well, you can end up giving a good chunk of your profits away to the franchisor. It definitely requires full-time effort right off the bat. You can't test it out. And it's definitely intensive and you need a lot of capital. So because of these reasons, for me, this is a B, not a B plus. This is maybe a B minus for me. Okay. We'll go through some of these other ones much faster. The one that is closely related is the buy and then build. So you buy a brick and mortar business, not a franchise business, but you buy a brick and mortar business that is already functional, that's already making $500,000 a year. These businesses usually trade at about a $500,000 net business is going to trade at about a 3x multiple. So if it's doing 500,000, it's going to sell for $1.5 million. And in order to buy this business, most likely you're going to need some financing, and you're going to get charged interest for that right off the bat. So that's not exactly the most halal business that you're getting into. But if you have a lot of cash lying around and you can get the seller to finance half of it and you put in cash, so you can buy it for $750,000. Those are good businesses, to be honest, because when you take an existing business that is already making money and you just take over, as long as you're full time involved and you quit your job, you have a 95% of success. Okay. You have to be like dedicated towards that. So I have this like, I did a lot of research once again, right? I almost bought an HVAC business, a solar business. So this is great for people that have a lot of cash lying around, but this is not a passive business and it's not going to be a passive business. So that's why I didn't get into it personally. But I would like, if you've got the cash lying around, obviously, this is a good business to get into. I would give this an A. Okay. Um, but again, you need cash. So that's the big reason. And if it's your first time getting into business and you've never done business before, you know, if you fail, like there goes your life saving. So it's not there's not a easy foot in the door here. So it's a very intensive thing. The next one I want to talk about is physical products. A lot of people want to do drop shipping, they want to do TikTok shop, they want to do Amazon. Um, and it's I see the appeal, and the reason is like if you get to 10 million a year in revenues, you can sell that business, even if you get to 5 million a year, you can sell that business for maybe like one times revenue or two times revenue, 5 to 10 million dollars. So you can build equity and you can get a big sale. I have friends that have done that. But the downside of that is as long as you're operational and as long as you're growing, you're not paying yourself that much with these e-commerce businesses because you're operating at 10 to 15% profit margins. And it's very competitive. So drop shipping and TikTok Shop, they get competitive, and Amazon, they get competitive so fast because anyone sitting behind like a laptop can do it. So I made like a very like I've made like a $500,000 investment basically into other e-commerce ventures. And I have also I spent $250,000 investing in my brother for an Amazon store, and I lost that $250,000 basically. Like so learn from my mistakes here. This is very competitive business to be in. My investment in like this a company that or was already making a few $1,000,000 was successful, so that worked out really well for me. But starting an e-commerce business is very difficult because of the easy entry. It's very easy to just do drop shipping and whatnot. Everyone talks about this, and because of that, there's so much competition. Okay, and again, over here, like, yes, you can have a sell, but like it's very, very competitive once again. And because of that physical business, I would give that a C. Again, think about this way, right? And you are operating at 20% margins. That means you're only making a $10 profit on a $50 sale. How many products do you have to sell in order to make $10,000 a month? You have to sell 1,000 products a month. And that was my lesson from my very first e-commerce venture that I spent $10,000 on and lost it all. I spent $10,000 building up inventory and whatnot. And then afterwards, I was like, how am I going to sell all this? So well, I just lost it all. Lesson learned, like you need excellent marketing um, in order to pull this off. But if you have a following, if you have a large following, and then you promote a physical product, this is a great way for you. But for our purposes, yeah, this is for beginners that we're talking about. What is the best ranking business model for a beginner? And this is not it. This is a sieve. Um, Again, millions of people have tested this out, and because of that, you get thousands of success story. But just the sheer competition is just too much over here. So I definitely do not recommend this either. Digital products, similar story as well, very competitive. If you have an expertise, if you have a following, then it's great for expert, but definitely not for beginners. I give this a C as well for beginners. Personal brand, right? Everyone wants to be a TikToker. Everyone wants to be a personal brand. If you don't know, is basically when you become the face of your own business on by having a following on social media or even traditional media, and then you sell products to your following, and that's how you make money. Uh, I like the I get the appeal here because you have a moat, and that cannot be replaced by AI, right? And so people that had following just made so much money, right? Khabib partnered up with Wahid. Wahid's worth over $100 million. Dwayne Johnson, he did it with the tequila brand, worth over $1 billion now. Same thing with Logan Paul, worth over $1 billion. Iman Gadzhi, he did it with his own academy. He used a personal brand to sell an academy. Grant Cardone, Humble Trader, like Carnivore MD, like all these guys have. Joe Rogan did this as well. Okay, now let's talk about the personal brand business model. A personal brand is when you become the face of your own business, whether it's on social media or traditional media, and then you monetize your following by selling products. Okay, this is a business model. I get the appeal. This is a business model where we see like $1 billion businesses being made as well, and this is why everyone wants to become an influencer as well. Like it's one of the most desirable career paths. It's also AI proof. A lot of influencers are being created every single day, and when you look at Joe Rogan, he did it with a supplement brand and he turned that into a close to $1 billion company as well. We've seen Patrick Bet David do that. He used his brand to launch a media empire. Lionel Messi, he had his personal brand and he was able to land a deal with um, LA Galaxy. No, no, not LA. The Miami soccer team and Apple as well. Dwayne Johnson did it with the tequila brand, which is a $1 billion company. Logan Paul did it with a energy drink brand, which is another $1 billion company. Conor McGregor did it as well. So, but what we're talking about is this the best business model for someone who's just starting out? No. There's more and more influencers every single day. There's more and more people creating content on Instagram, on YouTube, and whatnot. And I also have a personal brand as well, where I give a lot of free knowledge away on my YouTube channel. I think I have over like close to 25,000 subscribers, but I don't make that much money from my YouTube channels. It's like I'm also not really selling anything on my YouTube channels. It is just to create, your personal brand and whatnot. So I don't recommend this for people that want to make money and for their first $1 million. Absolutely not, unless you have some crazy expertise that no one else knows about. If you are the best steak chef in the world, then sure, do it. If you're the biryani king, then go do it. But if you're not an extreme in something, an extreme level of have had a extreme level of success in something, then don't do it. So this is for true experts. It's a good business model. It's a more longer business opportunity as well. And yeah, you can create a business you can sell or even cash flow businesses from personal brand, but it is not a beginner friendly business. So don't do it if you're a beginner. If honestly, if you're a beginner and you haven't done anything, it's a D. Whereas if you have true expertise in something, I would give it a solid B, or even an A. Then you should do it if you have got like some crazy expertise that everyone wants to learn from you from. Otherwise, for 99% of people, this is not the thing you do. So I would actually give this our first ever D. This is a second. Could this be A or D? Okay, so a lot of people want to have this crazy idea of like starting a software business or an app, because they see, hey, you know what? I could start the next Uber. That's $1 billion company. I could start the next, like WhatsApp or Telegram or some app business. I've spent over close to $500,000, about $400,000 in development on different projects, and so updated bros and sisters, do not do it. It is, make your first few million through something else and then you can get into it. I've got a software company. It's called max.ai. It helps. It's an AI software business. I won't get into it. I launched that after making millions of dollars through other ways. Okay. People say you have a higher likelihood of getting hit by lightning than having success with your app business or your software business. Yeah. Like, once you do that, then sure, give it a shot because you can make a ton of money if it is successful. But the chances of success are literally like getting hit by the lightning, 0.0001%. Okay, so it's not for beginners. It's great. After you make your first 5 million, it's a great way to go from 5 million to $100 million. Okay, and I would give this business model also a D. Let's talk about the two agency models. Service agency, where you provide a service to a local business owner, like marketing services. This is something that I started with, obviously. And I love this model. And I even got all my brothers to follow this model. One of my brothers did this physical product business, and I lost $250,000 with him. So, whereas a service Whereas I got him into service agency business, and all my brothers, except the one who's super young right now, they all became millionaires by following the service agency model. Not only did I become a millionaire, but also all my brothers. And you can match this based on your personality as well. So if you're an extrovert, like one of my brothers, he started a sales agency, and that was his path to his first million. Then my other brother, he was an introvert, and he ran ads, and he ran Google ads, and he became a millionaire through that way. So the service agency model is so good because, you know, you can land like a couple of clients, right? You land two clients at $4,000 a month, you had $100,000 run rate, right? You don't have to sell 1,000 products a month like with the e-commerce way to have success. With this, you literally like, you launch your agency, you land a couple clients, you're already making 100K, and you can do it on the side, you know. You had started part-time, and as it picks up more traction, like I did, like I started this on the side, and then it started picking up traction, and I was like, hey, let's go all into this. You have a lot of time freedom. uh, I was traveling the world. I've been traveling the world for the last 6, 7 years. You can check my Instagram. I've like the last 6 years, alhamdulillah, I've been traveling like 60 to 120 days a year. And it's a service agency business that gives me that time freedom, that flexibility to do whatever I want. You know, you're also, I published this book as well. Like this is back in 2015. I published this book, 73 reviews. At one time, it was Amazon bestseller as well, in its category. And so, anyways, yeah, this is there's so many business owners that need it, and it's the most resilient business model. So 30 million business owners need agencies. They hired them for marketing service, for Google Ad service, for content, for now AI implementation, right? There's always new technology. Like 7 years ago, it was Google Ads. 5 years ago, they wanted Facebook ads. Today, they want AI, right? So you can help business owners do this. And this is why, like, I stand behind this so much. This is the fastest and highest probability way of getting to your first $1 million. And it's when the economy slowed down a couple of years ago, my agency business was the most resilient business, because like people still need new clients, and that's what my agency helped people with. Now, here's the downside of an agency business. The downside, the issues is it's great for your first $1 million, but after your first $1 million, you're getting clients that pay you like $5 to $10,000 a month, right? It's you don't want to manage more than 20 clients ideally, right? So if you have 20 clients and each of them pays you $5,000 a month, you're making $100,000 a month. Okay, you're making your million. This is great. Now getting to 100 clients, it's just a lot of operational, challenges. So that's why what I did is I launched the growth partner agency model. Okay. But before we move on to that one, like this was my path to my first $1 million. This is what got me the freedom, which is why with Halal CEO, like I stand behind this so much. And this is not a B or a C or even an A. This is an S business model. This is a super business model for beginners to start. And whether you get into halal CEO or not, like do this, And I have plenty of free videos on YouTube as well to help you do this as well. But um, what we are also doing is we actually help you get to your first $100,000, which is one of the downsides, right? For an agency business, landing your first few clients is the hardest thing. Okay. And once you land a few clients, that's when you know like how things work. And that's what Halal CEO is all about. We actually help you get to your 100K. We hand that over to you on a silver platter, and we train you to keep on growing that. So that's what we're helping you with. Okay. And because of that, like especially a pre-built business, you're kind of getting a benefit of the franchise brick and mortar type of business, right? Except you don't have to shell out $500,000, which is what just makes this such a super business model. Okay. Kind of want to turn it this way. Okay. Now, the next type of agency is a growth partner agency. This is where you don't take cash in exchange for your services. You take percentage of revenue. Okay. With this type of business model, it's not something I recommend for beginner business owners. This is more advanced. Okay. This is where you partner up with people. And so, for example, if I work with a plumber, I'll charge them $4,000 a month. But with a growth partner agency, I will partner up with someone like Khabib. Okay. And we might be, inshallah. But I'd partner with someone like Khabib, and I would give them a percentage of the revenues. Okay. Or I would ask for a percentage of revenue, sorry. Right. Um, and you end up with 5 to 10% of revenue or 30% of profits. That's when you have a brand, let's say it's generating, 10, let's say $5 million profit a year, and you own 20% of the profits, you make 1 million net just from one deal, right? And you have 3 or 4 deals like this, you're making $3 or $4 million cash flow to yourself. So that's the second level. But like the first level is service agency. And this is basically, what I've done multiple times as well. We created 8-figure brands 4 times. We worked with influencers. We got equity, big upside, a lot of money. Uh, you know, we work with Jeremy Athier, Jeremy Miner, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Mike Shake, um, all these guys. Um, but it is not ideal for beginners. And for beginners, okay, I would give this like a B minus actually. Okay. This is if you have a lot of skill, if that's another great thing about the service agency model. You stack skills, you actually become useful. When you go to like a big entrepreneur event, like you are that person that helps businesses grow, you know? So every business owner, every millionaire wants to work with you because you can help them out, and you start being selective. You start saying yes, like no, I don't want to work with you. I only want to work with, like, the top of the top. And that's exactly what started happening with us. But none of that would have been possible had I never started a service agency. So these are my rankings. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And I really hope this video helps you get to your first $1 million. And inshallah, from that point forward, you keep on stacking skills, you keep on getting better. There was a reason I got my brothers into this game as well, because I know the potential is enormous. And when you go from just trying to survive to being able to build long-term assets, build a team, build an asset, if that's something you want to do, you can also stay chill at like 20K a month. And like when I was making 20, 30K a month, I was maybe working like 10 hours a month, you know? Um, I did that for a little while too. I like traveled a lot during that time. But yeah, I hope this video helps you out to go from not having enough time freedom, not having enough financial freedom, not having enough location freedom, to having it all. And inshallah, this helps you, because I wish something like this existed when I was starting out. The right opportunity vehicle makes all of the difference. And at Halal CEO, we want to get you there. Okay. So hope this helps. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.